Welcome to the Caddo Convos, the podcast that explores the vibrant community of businesses thriving in Caddo Office Reimagined. We're here to shine a light on the incredible entrepreneurs and professionals who make the most of our private offices, co-working spaces, and day office rentals in the Dallas-Fort Worth suburbs. Join us as we share their stories, celebrate their successes, and dive into the benefits of working in a space that's close to home but offers so much more than working from home. Let's get started with today's conversation. Joining me today on the Caddo Convos is Misty Koehn, and she's with Eye-LLURE. How you doing, Misty?
Good. How are you?
Great, great. What is Eye-LLURE? What do y'all do and what sets you apart?
Eye-LLURE is an eyelash extension studio, and I am a one-woman show.
Nice.
And I am a one-trick pony. It is eyelash extension only, but that's something that gave me an opportunity to really kind of perfect that because it's what I do day in, day out.
And be good at it, right?
Be good at it.
Excellent.
It's hard to be bad at something when it's something you're constantly doing.
Excellent. How long have you been doing this?
14 years.
Oh, yeah.
14
so you're
years.
Very dedicated.
Absolutely. Yeah. I started in the corporate world and then worked my way into working for myself.
Yeah, that's very liberating.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
14 years at it. Wow.
Yes.
Again, I'm a male, I'm a layman. So I say you've done a lot of eyelashes. Let's talk about how did you start? Like what was in, and how has it changed over the time that you've been doing that?
It's definitely changed. When it was in its infancy, I would say the quality of the product has really evolved. At one time when they first came out, it took a lot more time and a lot more effort because they weren't exactly put together the way that they are now. You can move a lot more efficiently. And there's a lot more to choose from in terms of quality of product, glue, curls, styles. And so it's really evolved, and it's become something that is available to someone of every age. There's a style and we can kind of customize it to the person. And I've watched it evolve through those stages. And so I've really seen it something become far more available to everyone, not just a particular age or a particular career. It can be worn by all walks of life.
What are the challenges?
The challenges, one of the few challenges that I do come across is that occasionally you will have somebody that might have an allergic reaction to the glue.
Yeah.
Glues have come a long way. We do have hypoallergenic glues now that are leaps and bounds from what they used to be. So it is available to people that even do have reactions. And so what you can have someone do is come in and you do a patch test where you just take like the inner arm and you put just a little dollop of glue. You give it about 24 hours. And see if they develop a reaction, and that way it's avoidable, not in the eye, but here it's a much more tolerable place. And so that's helped a lot. The only thing that is ever difficult is someone say, as we do get older, our eyelashes, our brows, they thin out a little bit. And so sometimes when somebody wants a really extreme heavy set, it can be a little complicated to do that on somebody if their eyelashes are limited. And I kind of pride myself on doing a lash that is going to last and not do damage. I've kind of worked myself out of a job. If I damage your lashes, I don't have anything left to work with. So the integrity of the natural lash, it's important that it stay. And so that's one of the challenges, giving somebody the volume and the length that they want safely.
What's a popular lash, I guess I could say?
A popular lash, it can depend on the age.
Yeah.
I see a lot of things out there that I'm not a fan of these days. Very long, very heavy. And obviously each person is going to have a different style that they favor. But that's one thing that's beautiful is we can kind of customize that. So say you have somebody that, is say they're in their 20s and they want a far more dramatic, lavish set, then we can go through and we could look at those curls and say, this curl is a little bit more dramatic. This volume is a little heavier. Is this to your taste? Do you wear makeup every day? Are you more of a clean aesthetic? And so that can definitely be customized. And there's different curls now that are available because once upon a time it was one, and that's what you had. And now, no, we can sit and go through them in your consult and kind of customize them to you.
Well, everybody likes a story, so let's talk kind of customer journey. Someone came to you and they may have known or not known what they want. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we don't necessarily have to say names, but give me a situational so
Sure.
they can kind of hear themselves in
Sure.
this person's journey.
Usually, the one thing that's nice about them is if we don't hit it like right on the head right away, we can tinker. We can go back in and play with them a little bit and adjust. But sometimes somebody will come in and they think, I'm more of a, I want a demure kind of a light set, and that's totally fine. But as time goes on, they might want a little more and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And so it can evolve with them, and so I've had people come in that were like, I might just get this for one occasion. It might be a little much for me. And, we'll do a one and done. And that's not always the case. Sometimes it takes them a minute to adjust. It's a new thing on your face. And they're like, this might not be for me. And then 2 weeks later, they come in, you might have scheduled to take them off and they don't want to take them off anymore. Now they're the thing that they like. They like seeing that. And then when they take them off, they feel like something's missing. And so I've met women that were, I have an event and I think I'll just get them, for the event. I don't think that they're part of my day-to-day. And then they realize this might be my day-to-day. This might be my new look. I can get up, I can go, and I look polished and done. Even if I don't have time, I'm just going to the store, but I still could look like I've got something, And so it can often be sometimes, it might not be for me, one event, but then it becomes a lifestyle. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, let's dispel some myths.
Mm-hmm.
What are they and what are they not? As in people come in, they're not permanent, obviously.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about how long they last.
They are temporary.
Yeah.
And so it does kind of matter, like your care when you leave, that's going to matter, like the upkeep. And we go over that and talk about, what you're going to do to take care of them and to prevent the loss. Unfortunately, glue is glue. Yeah. And they are going to start to fall away at some point. Now, they should not start falling away within a couple of days. The mark of good artistry is that they last. And I expect you, without coming back to see me, they should look pretty decent for about 3 weeks.
Oh, wow. It's longer than I thought.
I like to see people at a 2-week loop. Obviously, it's your time and your money.
Yeah.
So I give people an option. If you would prefer to wait the 3 weeks to come in for a fill, that's totally fine. It's just sometimes you can shed a little more in that time. But it is one of those things, about 3 weeks, you're going to start noticing they're going to grow out. The weight distribution might change, so they might start to lean, fall out a little bit. You may not lose any for a week, and then mark 2, you might wake up and they're on your pillow a little bit more than you'd like. And it's the nature of the beast. Yeah. They are going to fall away, but you should get about 3 weeks if you don't come back to see me. If you do, we can keep them on you for an eternity. I have people that have been with me for 12 years without having to take them off. And that's always been another myth, is that you need to give them a rest. They need to come off. If done properly, they should be able to be worn straight through without a break.
And they basically connect to the lashes that are already there.
Lash.
So it's not like you're, for me, I'm looking at my eyelids and thinking, ooh, do you glue it to the skin or anything like that? It's like, no,
right.
it's
They
not.
go to the natural lash.
Yeah.
They, like I said, as they've evolved, they've come out with something, that is usually called clusters. I'm not a fan of clusters. They're very large. They're very heavy. And if I'm honest, I feel like they lack the need for artistry. You buy them, you place them, they're heavy. I do an individual lash extension. So your true lash extension is going in lash by lash and hand building a fan. And really looking at each individual lash and saying, could it handle this weight? Can it handle this length? And that to me is the mark of good artistry. And also the building of it is kind of what ensures whether or not it's going to last.
Yeah.
So that definitely does matter.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So, all ages, all genders,
all walks
you
of
name
life,
it,
all
everybody.
genders too.
Which one has surprised you? Have people come in, you're like, I wouldn't have pegged you for it. And again, I'm not saying stereotypical,
absolutely.
but just
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Yeah, sometimes it's funny because it might be somebody that doesn't necessarily wear a lot of makeup, but that might be why they want them, because it's one less step that they have to do in the morning and they feel ready to go. One less thing I have to do today.
Yeah.
That's one thing that was always my favorite part of my industry, is that I work with all age ranges. I work with teenagers to I've worked with women in their 80s. That's the one thing that has always surprised me, is I don't care how old they are. Like, women want to feel pretty, and it doesn't matter. And it seems silly to say that some little lashes on your eyes could make someone feel pretty, but it can have an effect, and so I've seen women that I thought, I don't know if I'm going to keep her. I don't know if we're going to be a thing, but then she turns out to be somebody that winds up being with me for 6 years,
Yeah.
So they can surprise you.
So let's talk about care.
Sure.
You mentioned like, them falling out on pillows, things like that. What should you do to avoid risks to your eyelashes?
Silk pillowcases are a good idea.
Okay.
And oil is the biggest cause of the glue to break down. So you can still wear your regular makeup, and after each application, you want to wait to get them wet for about 24 hours. And that is each time. I know that's it's a chore, but it helps. It really does. So oil, a lot of product around the eyes, that does tend to break down the glue a little bit. And so it's one of those things. Women are going to use their serums. They're going to use their creams. You just kind of want to be mindful, like around the eye, just not get up too close so that when you blink, you're going to carry that residue into the lash. And so it's just basically keeping oil and residue, and you want to keep them clean. And anything tear-free, you can even use like a Johnson & Johnson, like tear-free, because the cleaner they are, the better they hold.
Yeah.
And I send you with a spoolie, and you're going to do just like a little brush in the morning. And I often tell people, the more you leave them alone, usually the better they hold. It's the constant touching. And obviously we don't secrete oils in our fingertips, but we touch our skin, we touch our hair, and then you touch and you're going to cross-contaminate. And so it's honestly best to leave them alone as much as you can.
That makes sense. And once they're attached, you said they last as long as 3 weeks. Is that typically?
Yeah. And I've had people that take really good care of them, and they'll come in, say they were out of town or something came up. And I've seen people a month, sometimes longer out, and we can continue, we can make it work. It's not the end of the road. They're just not going to look as great as they could.
Right.
But
you cover all of this. You mentioned you have a consultation before the application.
Yes.
So the consultation is however long. I imagine it's an hour or less, or
right.
Whatever needs to be done.
I don't expect you. I run a tight ship. I want to get you in and out in about. You're going to be with me about 2 hours on the initial full set.
Great.
And I try to get in that time to sit down and show you the options, ask about your lifestyle, and different things like that, and try to customize them to you, what you're comfortable with. And it's always important that they know that we are not set here. We can adjust. You can come in. We can talk. This is working for me. This is not. I'm not a fan of this curl. And we can always adjust. The only thing is if somebody doesn't want to take them all off and start over, we just begin adding a new curl, a new length. So you can go through a bit of a graduation. You just go through an awkward stage. And if you're fine with that, I'm fine with that. But, if you want to take them over and start over, that's fine too. It's just more money, more time. And so I like to give you the option. Interesting.
So Misty, you must walk through the world now, and you're looking people in the eye, but you're looking at something above the eyes, right?
Yes.
And I imagine it kills you to see bad lashes out there.
Hurts my soul.
Yeah.
I see it a lot. I have people send me pictures, that know me, and they're like, I sat across from these. You had to see them, and I'm not a fan of knocking other artists. It's something in the industry that I think is in poor taste, but I've seen my fair share, and it's out there. But it's anytime something becomes hot or the next new thing, everybody jumps on the bandwagon, and I see a lot of people that will buy a pair of tweezers and some clusters and go, I am doing eyelash extension. And I disagree, but all I can do is, it's very important to me how people look when they leave my room, because I'm not great about the social media. Like if you went to my business page, it's been a minute since I've been on there. And so it matters to me how they look when they leave, because if they don't look good, I don't work. And so I'm mostly word of mouth. My entire business has usually always been word of mouth. And it's because it's very important to me how they look. And I need them to be clean. I need them to be classy and not walk in the room before you do. They need to not take over your face, just compliment what's already there.
Would you say in your industry and other artists like yourself, is there one fad that you're all glad that it's gone?
They're still here. The clusters are here. I'm not sure if anything has left yet. It all still seems a lot of it is present. Mostly you see it, You see it on all ages, actually. And I think sometimes there's a misconception that more is more. And I find as I'm aging and I see other women my age that are aging, sometimes more is not more as we get older, and so it's one of those things where it needs to be scaled back. But unfortunately, the things that I'm not a fan of, they're still here. They're still actively working because I see them all the time. But the clusters, that's the biggest thing that I wish that I could see go, because it does damage and it's heavy. And when you lose one, instead of losing like a small, delicate fan that's just going to fall away, you're losing like a chunk,
Yes.
a noticeable chunk. And so you have no time. You don't get bought any time between I need to get in there and I need to get it fixed. But the reason that they're falling away is that from a stage of like geometry, they don't hold, because a lash is cylindrical and you're attaching something with a flat base to something that's cylindrical and it just doesn't hold. And a fan needs to be built around the lash. And in my opinion, that's where the true artistry comes in.
So it's, artistry plus a little bit of very small engineering.
OCD.
Yeah. You
OCD. It really helps. It's a plus.
That's interesting.
Absolutely.
Well,
it's very repetitive.
Yeah. You got to do it right. You and I are here at the Allen location of Caddo Office
Yes.
Reimagine, one of 10 locations currently. Why did you choose this location for your business?
I had a client that her masseuse was here, and I was in salon suites for years, which are, by the way, pricier than here. And she had mentioned, she said, my masseuse is in the Caddo building, and she said, I think you would love it. You should come take a look. And I was like, well, it's office space. Is that like going to be conducive for me? But the loophole for me was I don't need a sink, nor do people that do nails or, massage. Hair people, obviously, different set of rules. And so I came and I checked it out, and it was the building was beautiful, and like all the amenities and everything. I was kind of blown away, actually. And so she gave me a tour, and I was like, it's cheaper than what I'm currently doing. And that was years ago. I'm not sure how long I've been here. I think it's been like 3 years or something like that. And I've never looked back. I recommend it a lot to anybody. My industry, obviously you're limited, but I would recommend it to anybody.
That's interesting.
Absolutely.
You mentioned most of your customers come word of mouth,
Mm-hmm.
but if they didn't, how do you like to be reached? And you don't have to list out full website or anything. We'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah, definitely. I do. I have websites. I have social media. I hand out cards.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with any form of that, usually because there's a book online feature within my website. Clients just give that out. And my phone number is there, and I'm always willing, if somebody just has questions or anything like that, absolutely call me. We can talk about that. Sometimes people just want to calm their nerves before they come in and book an appointment. And sometimes people just pop up on my schedule, and sometimes people contact me, and anyway, it's fine.
That's really cool.
Absolutely.
What would you say is your favorite thing about what you do?
The people I meet. Honestly, like I see anywhere from 7 women a day, and you tend to absorb those energies. And they told us when I was in aesthetic school that something interesting that happens is I'm in an industry where we go into people's personal space, and most people spend all day trying to keep people out of this personal space. And we go into that. And so there's something interesting that happens when you lay hands on people and it breaks a barrier, and they're going to tell you everything, and you need to be trusted with that, and so you spend all day absorbing the energies of like anywhere from 7 different people. And it's a privilege. It really is. And it also, it's very educational. And that's been my favorite thing by far. And I reap a lot of benefits from the people that I meet, and I could never deny that.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, Misty, thank you for coming and
you.
Sharing all this great stuff that you know about your artistry and the amount of time you've been in it. It's been great hearing these stories.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us today on the Caddo Convos podcast. A huge shout out to our incredible network of members for making our community vibrant and supportive. If you're looking to boost your productivity and reduce the isolation of working from home, consider joining us at Caddo Office Reimagine. Our spaces are designed to meet your evolving needs, support remote work, and foster a sense of community that's hard to find at home. Whether you're a startup aiming for growth, a freelancer seeking a professional setting, or a company looking to optimize resources, Caddo offers a perfect blend of flexibility and innovation. By joining us, you'll be a part of a dynamic business ecosystem that helps you thrive. For more information, visit caddooffices.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Caddo Convos.